All right, we are recording a quick video. This is the second video of the day, mostly because I tilted pretty hard right near the end of the last game, so we're not gonna upload that one. This is a channel of kindness, and we're not going to call people names when they infuriatingly don't beat you in the most efficient way and just kind of take their time. All right, so we're going to try it again, coach. We're going to try it again. The last one was fairly frustrating. I had a good idea, but then, near the end, I just started putting my pieces on bad squares. And so that is kind of what happened. We, for the most part, played really well, and then, I just started putting my piece on bad squares. And then it fell apart because I put my pieces on bad squares. Frustrating, but understandable. Okay, this is why we play this. We are still trying to play the dragon. The last time we came up with a Meraxi bind, which is very interesting to play against because it's something that I'm very interested in playing. Interesting. I don't think we go here, right? I think now maybe we push up so that when we come out, they can't push because we don't really have anywhere to go outside of back. So we come up, they push. We have to come out here, which is really awkward. So I think the move here is, it could be, I don't think it's this because takes. I'm going to say something like this to stop the pawn push. And we are slowly learning about, I'm doing one of the chess dojo courses is about time in chess, and I feel like I feel like it's been a really interesting idea regarding an aspect of dynamic versus static advantage. Sometimes you have static advantage, sometimes you have dynamic advantage, and knowing and feeling when that could be the case. So now we actually do have a bit of a tactic. The center fork trick could be on the board. Let me make double sure. Here, hold on. Could be an interesting idea. Let's see. Here takes push. Maybe you go back, push. Okay, because this bishop is here. And we're also attacking the dark squared bishop, which we always like to do. Center fork trick on the board. Let's see the response. There would be an interesting option to maybe come here, but I would take anyway. Or I would take the bishop, probably. Allow the queen trade. Because then I'd be up a pawn. Up a pawn. Okay, so two options to take back. This could be interesting because it immediately is also attacking the knight. But let's just tempo the knight. Maybe come in here. All right. So now, let's see. We could, with air quotes, get a tempo on maybe the rook. We could come here, here, here. Pressuring this pawn, seeing if we can get a concession of a poorly placed piece. They are re-attacking the pawn. Okay. So we could finish developing while defending a pawn. And there's no real pawn in front of it, so it is a mobile pawn. We could push the pawn. But then we're putting it on a dark square. Okay, so we'll say we push the pawn, right? Push the pawn. You're going to come right back here, maybe. Here. 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 And we don't really have a way to deal with it. So maybe we come here. You take the pawn. I take the rook. You take it back. You're not pressuring this pawn because my queen's there. Quit being a goober. Let's say here, you take the pawn. That's when you would take the pawn. I would take here. You could come here. I wouldn't really want to do that now, would I? Well, I could take that pawn. We don't want to lose our dark squared bishop, that's for sure. So what's the best square for our bishop? Is it here? Looking at the king? Candidate moves are here. That helps you develop. We don't really want that. Not that it would be bad, because then I could, come here. We could defend the pawn like this. We don't really want that, do we? No. Let's put it on the long diagonal. And we could, there are ideas of maybe coming up and just dominating the knight. So part of the problem in the last game is there were a few moves that were good, but I guess it's the same problem as it's kind of the same problem that I've had in the past. I say to myself, I don't see how that's going to go in the future. And then I'm like, oh, well, so we're not going to worry about it, except, let's see. Hold on. They're attacking a pawn. Okay. I can defend it by getting my queen off the back rank. I could come up one off the back rank. I could push up. But then if you take, you're actually harassing a piece. Interesting. We could come up one, or we can go on the dark squares. Are we saying that the dark squares are stronger? I'm going to say we are saying our light squares are stronger. Is there a way to pressure? So queen c6 runs into knight b5. We don't really want that to give them a free whatever. So let's just go here. But it's the same kind of thought, if you will, that I've had multiple times of there's a piece I can move to a square, and I say, oh, yeah, but I don't know what their future looks like at that point. What is going on here? Let's see. 1, 2. You're attacking this twice, but I can just push it up, and I'm not worried about it. Sure. I'm kind of weakening the light squares, which is where I wanted to be. So I don't fully like that idea, but I would say Yeah, we can just lift it. This isn't protecting anything. It would be more complicated if it was, say, protecting the dark squares. And then here we can push up unless they bring their queen out. We don't really want that. But I think that's a mentality that I struggle with of like, oh, I can't see the future of my piece XYZ. And, yeah. And because of that, I don't make those moves. And those are kind of some of the better moves, right? At least according to the engine, those are like the better moves. And I'm like, yeah, but what is my queen doing on A5? I don't know. It's just sitting there, and maybe it's and I need to like look at those and really think about, or get a stronger player's opinion on what those moves are doing, outside of like the obvious, like, oh, this is just developing. Now what is this idea? Maybe to double up? What are we attacking? So we're moving it off the back rank. We're maybe trying to bring a rook over. We're looking this way. We could push up and then look to harass the queen with the light squares. Do we want to do that? Everything is kind of defended. Rook to the open file. But if we push this up, the rook will then be... So maybe the idea is to bring the knight in? But if we come here, they bring the knight in, we pin the knight just immediately, and the knight's attacked twice. You could come up. Takes... And I could take the knight with the bishop. Let's go here. Idea of harassing the queen. And I need to move a little bit faster. This pawn is not as free as you would think. Okay. So what do we do if this happens? What's their best move? Here. You can't block. You have to move. Maybe coming back, which is what we did not actually want. You're also saying now that you can't push. Oh, you can. We can push now, can't we? Let me see. Here, you just move the knight. And we pin the knight. So would it be best to move here, here? Or do we pressure this boy away first? Here, where do you go? Maybe back this way, which would be perfectly fine with me, and then we can pressure, and then coming this way kind of means nothing. Let's do that. Kind of push you back. This is, I believe this is a common move in like King's Indian kind of stuff. But this isn't. It's a dragon, which is why we want to preserve this long diagonal. And actually, maybe we're messing up by getting rid of our stuff here. Maybe getting our heavies further this way would be better, I wonder. Not now, right? Because you might come back this way. Then we tempo, you come back. Okay. Can we come here? Takes. Takes. Nope. We could push again. Oh, that makes me itch. That makes me itch. Back or back. And these are the for me the like heebie-jeebie things. Where we're in this position and I'm unclear about how to fully move forward. We were talking about rooks to the open file. We have this idea. Queen just drops back, though. Is there any way to use that to my advantage? Rook to the open file. You come up. Push again. No, not really. Yeah, maybe. Takes, queen takes here, looking at this. And this? Well, I gotta come up with something. Thus lies the issue of lower ELO. Like, in this position, I'm unclear about what threats to make and how to effectively make them. You're just going to drop back, right? We can push because this is protected. Takes. Interesting idea here. Can I push? Say you move here, 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 here. Okay, so I push, you move here. Takes. Here, stopping me from coming back, but yeah, okay. So now here takes, so we can't move to that open file. Here, where do you go? Back here. Forked, but it's not a fork. Take here, it's defended. I don't know. These are the parts where I'm really struggling to figure out how to move forward. What's our worst placed piece? On a good strong diagonal. On a good strong diagonal. In the middle of the board where you'd want it to be. This is maybe could be better, but where would better be? Where would better be? Defended. It can come here maybe. This wouldn't be great because you're just losing everything. We could come here with the idea of a pawn push, but 2 defenders, 1, 2, 3 attackers. And it's kind of defending this pawn. What about lift, right? What about coming something like this? And then here. And then coming here. Here. Is that pawn that dangerous? Well, I got to do something. And I can't figure out where my opponent's threats are. Maybe they start trying to lift. Here and here and boo. This is a pawn to watch, though. So now we have a bit of time on our opponent's time, and we can think about our best and worst pieces. Can't really come here, but we can bring a rook to an open file. Here. Okay. And then we can push. Oof, that makes me really want to push that. Let's see. If we bring our king up, you can't take. You can no longer take. Push? What? Takes? Takes? Does this push work? Hold on. Push. Takes. Rook takes. Because the queen can't take. Bishop takes. Rook to the open file? Rook takes. Rook takes. Rook take, bishop takes. D4. Rook has to take, or you're losing a piece. So D4, maybe you come back. Okay, maybe you come back. Rook comes here, because now we're threatening to take the knight. Because right now the threat is here, 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 and you're going to come try and checkmate me here with an attack. But does this work? Here, rook takes, bishop takes. How is this bad? You're going to have to prove it to me. I don't have enough time to, like, go through it 6 more times. It very well might just lead to my entire king side being torn apart. Takes, rook in. Interesting idea. Rook in. But then the problem is this check, takes, and I have a free bishop. Bishop take. Okay, so we thought of this. But then so we are threatening the knight now. Knight has to go here or here. we're there. Definitely another option. You want to be very careful of something like this, right? Because you might be looking here. Okay. Where can the queen go? Queen here, bishop, bishop, queen. Okay, so now, but we're not super worried about this to here because we have this idea, unless we go here, bishop takes, bishop takes. Uh-huh. That's a sneaky bishop takes, knight comes in, forks me to death. So we need to move the knight first here. Then if you take, you come here, bishop takes, bishop takes. Okay. So what do we need? What do we need? What do we need? What do we need? Queen to come here, I think. We're gonna try this. Ah, crap. That hurts. Dang it. Oh. Let's not do that just because we're going to get hit with some real nastiness. We can come here. Protecting. Oh, I think that works, doesn't it? I sure hope it does. It don't. I'm going to stop this fork. Oh my gosh. I was worried for nothing. The knight can't even go there. Oh, man. Whatever. Whatever. That's what happens when you play slow chess. And this is what it is. This is what it is. Let 'em have a free pawn. Come here. Takes, takes, takes here. So we'll have to go here to here. Okay. I figured that'd be the case. Chief, so now how do we deal with it? Our queen's getting trapped. Oh, we ran out of time. So this is the second loss today. We're going to stop here because if not, we're going to tilt pretty hard. Now, let's go and look it over. Okay. So let's look it over real fast. We're not going to use the engine. We are a little frustrated, not going to lie. See where our time went as well. Okay, this is all normal dragon stuff. Yep. Center fork trick. Defending. Okay. And I think now is like, yeah, because in 10 moves, I'm losing on time because this is where I struggle. So, like, this is like, what, 15 minutes to 13 minutes, or 2 minutes here trying to figure out where I want my pieces. They come out anyway. Okay. All right. 10 minutes. 9 minutes. 7 minutes. And here is like the struggle, like 7 minutes, 4 minutes. So how do we find our moves in this position, right? We can look at our opponent's weaknesses. So right now we have no weaknesses, nothing that can easily be attacked. We get the tempo. We thought they were going to drop back, but they didn't. And so now, and this is the struggle, 7 minutes to 4 minutes. So in this position, how do we figure out what to do? That's the question I think is going to push our rating up. Because here I'm out of ideas. I'm like, I'm not sure. My position is relatively stable. The pawns I don't think should be moved. So now it's all piece play. What are my opponent's weaknesses? They have one pawn that's undefended. Okay, so we can attack that pawn. How do we attack that pawn? Maybe instead of a4, maybe we go b7, but then they push the pawn. Well, now we have another target because the knight is only defended once. So we could come in here. Okay, we're starting to maybe generate some stuff. The knight has to move. It's attacked twice. So where does the knight move? Well, this pawn is attacked twice. But it's protected by another pawn, so you don't really want to make... Actually, it's protected 3 times. So the best place for it to move may be here. Here. No. Here. Maybe. I think the best would be here. Looking to come in here. So that means we get a pawn. Okay. Okay. We don't want to take, right? I thought for a very brief second about this idea, but that protects their weakness, or what we're aiming for. So we need 2, sure. Bishop b1, sure. Bishop here, sure. And now we're actually looking at this as well. Okay. So this is where I messed up then. So how do we find a plan in this situation? I knew these pawns were weak. So why didn't I go after them? Well, because I didn't see an easy way to go after the b pawn, but I shouldn't have been going after the b pawn. I should have realized this is attacked and defended once, or twice. So attack the b pawn. Well, as well, I think if I took the b pawn, no, that wouldn't work, because again, this is attack. I'll just take it with my queen. Queen takes, bishop takes, come down here, and there's nothing to be had. Okay. Okay, so we missed queen b7 here when we needed a plan. And that plan should have been to attack the weaknesses. And if we had time, I say time. I spent, 3 minutes, 4 minutes here. Just kind of twiddling my thumbs. So I guess, what do we learn? So I'm trying to think for myself here, too. Like, this is a video, yeah, but I'm also trying to get better at chess. We need to be able to categorize our opponent's weaknesses and then go after them. Not the B pawn, because I wanted to go after the B pawn, but this square is defended twice. How else could I have done it, right? Here. I'm curious as to queen b7. Is there another way you could have protected that pawn? Maybe coming back? Okay. So say they admit that they have a weak pawn and they need to go back. So now what do we do? Because we have the same fundamental error, or the same, the same fundamental feeling of like, well, what do we do? We don't want to mess with our kingside pawns too much. They want to take this pawn eventually. I can feel it in my bones. And then we also messed up here. This is fine. This is good, I think. Finding out, okay, cool. And then for some reason, we all saw it. I was like, oh no, they're going to hop here. They can't, not within the next 3. So then I make a bonehead move, right? I could have took back. Queen comes in, sure. But there's no, hold on. No, there's no checkmate threat yet. Now, do I think my opponent's position? I think my opponent's position is perfectly fine here. Because they can also come in here. That's another issue, right? So pushing this pawn. So no pushing pawns, right? Queen b7 stops this idea. I do think queen b3. Okay, and now I need to be very aware of knight e3. So knight e3, I could come maybe here, right? And if you want to take, sure. You're a pawn up, yeah. True, nope. Because that was the problem to begin with, right? Here, oh, nope. Queen e4, okay. So we found that, d4, queen d2, 88, because we wanted, because I didn't want here to here, would not have been great to lose the game, like the entire game. Here, here, here. Interesting. I mean, at this point, I actually think you could get away with this, just because there's no good infiltration squares. But having double bishops and the fact that I'm about to lock this side down and you'll never get to it because I can just protect it with my dark squared bishop. Okay, so queen d2. Right. And then the danger zone. Danger zone. This is a real and present danger, which is why I want to move my queen. Right. And then they're able to generate a little bit, right? Queen h4, thinking to come back. And then let's see, if I go here, here, uh-oh. And here we might be in a little bit of trouble. Well, also we can't really. That's actually further attacking that pawn. So here we are in trouble. I think the best case would have been to take here and then try and figure out maybe something like this. That way, if they decide to come in, it is still protected. Okay. It's dangerous. I don't like it, but I think we are surviving if I can figure out how to. But then the problem becomes how do we dislodge this knight? Because now our heavies are constantly having to protect this square. Okay. So probably even here if I'm not a little bit better. Bishop a6. Was this a good move? I don't know. Maybe I was just excited to get a tempo on the queen. This is definitely, to me, feels like a lesson in how can we and look at the board, see our opponent's weaknesses. Because there was another video, I don't know if I've posted it yet, but there was another video where I talked about, there's tactics, and if you can see a tactic in your head, a few moves in advance, it gives you something to work towards. And right now, I'm not seeing a lot of tactics other than, like, say, the weak B pawn. The weak-ish C pawn could also. This knight here, I don't want to give up my good dark squared bishop. I was worried about. So I thought here would have been, I don't know if I actually showed it, but here, and then it's a world of hurt. We don't want that. Here. Now that would have been a mistake, right? So maybe h7 wasn't that bad. Takes. Here. Nah, you'd had to move. So takes. Here. And then you'd have to come back to stop the fork. Yeah, because you would sack a piece for that. Okay, that fork was not as dangerous as I want, but I'm not good at blitz, and 2 minutes is not a lot of time. I think here, right? Bishop a6. And then now this is like the downfall of Lord Scuba Chess, which is getting in these kinds of positions because there's nothing, to me, it didn't feel like there was a lot to immediately attack. I wish I would have found queen b7, but even then it's tough, right? Like queen b7, rook b1. What do we do? I don't know. So now what do we do? Now it's you got to find the preparatory moves. You got to find. I mean, you can't take. Takes back. Queen takes. Rook takes. No bueno. Can't really push. Pushing here to come back. Here. Well, you could maybe come here. That'd be bad for a different reason. Here. Takes. Queen takes. And you have check. And it's not looking good. Well, actually, queen takes. You can come over. And then you got your rook coming in. And then push, and then we're actually threatening checkmate. So maybe a kingside attack. Maybe we look at King's Indian games to see how an attack like that would work. I don't know. I do feel like this was a good game in terms of learning. Like, Queen B7, I think, is the top move here. Let's do a, how much time do we have? 45 minutes. Nice. Let's do a quick computer analysis to see. I think I'm doing perfectly fine, and Queen B7 is the best move in this position. Let's see what the computy says. And then sometimes we have to reload it. You know, Stockfish is like 1 blunder, 3 mistakes. Oh, my opponent played very, very well. Yeah, I knew I played really well, and then the blunder. So it looks like I played pretty well until I blundered Queen H4. Yeah, because that, yeah. Probably really bad. Okay, so let's look at it, huh? Okay, Knight of 3. Yep. This is all kind of known territory. Yep, center fork trick. Oh, but it's not that great. It is not that great. What do we want to do? Does it matter? Half a peon? Half a peon? What do you do? Push the center? D5. It does like pushing in the center. Why? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4. So if we're talking about tempo, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. We also have 1, 2, castle 3, and it's our turn, so 4. Here. Attacking the weakness. You come over, and then we push again, locking in our dark squared bishop. I'm not good enough. Okay, knight takes e4. Bam! Center fork trick. Okay, bishop takes. C takes d. C3. Okay, we come out. This is correct. So now, still fine. The computer does like us bringing our rooks to the open file. G5, E6. Okay. Why do we like... I guess what? Taking space in the center? Here. And this doesn't work because we come here. So G5 was not good because of... Let me get a few more threads in here. E6, F6, D4, E5. The computer says I got a bunch of different moves. Computer says I have a bunch of different moves, and guess what? I chose the wrong one. Breaking in the center. Okay, too passive is my guess. Here. You can't take it, but you can come up. Then you come back. You have a... Well, maybe it's not locking in the bishop. I think it's the fact that you have a big mobile 2-pawn center. That's craziness. Why would you do that? And why is it so good? I guess you're crushed, right? Where can your knight go? You're going to struggle with your knight. You're going to struggle with your bishop. So I guess you're locking your opponent down a little bit. E6, not great. Queen D3, not great. A5, not the best, but not terrible. H6. We liked Queen C6. Why? Oh, because you're pushing and you're threatening mate. Okay, so queen c6. All right, yeah. Queen f3, defending, f6, pushing the bishop back. You're also, if they were to really take, that would be a bad move because you're coming in with the rook a4, b3, takes, e5. Looking to push a4, f7, maybe giving a little hidey hole. Not sure. Bishop f4. a6 is not the I can imagine, right, that there are quieter moves that are better in this position, right? Because this is the start of when I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, g3, a4. Again, don't know what I'm doing. There are slightly better moves. Yeah. What about queen b7? Not bad, not great. Trading off the dark squared bishop. Okay. You want to trade off the dark squared bishop anyway. Here. Takes. Check. Here. Looking at all the goof stuff. Okay, just even. Okay, queen e3. Pawn push, not the best. Queen d2, didn't think it was the best. Queen g3. Okay, preparing, actually threatening the knight. And so here, I'm in trouble because I don't want to push the pawns in front of my king. So we maybe should look at some more kingside attacks like that. And then a blunder with, 15 seconds left because of this. Okay. And then the idea was to come in. Unfortunately, we got this here, and, we're just kind of stuck. And now we're the ones being crushed down. So, key moments. What can I learn from, say, the computey, right? That would be bishop takes e5. Here would be to break in the center. Again, I'm not seeing it. Prioritize the pawn. This is where I'm going to take the wrong lesson and butcher a game. b3, a5. And here I could realize that it could be a mate threat on the board due to here. Let's go bishop f4. Something like that, right? And we got a mate threat. Well, then you can come here. No, that wouldn't be good because I would just take that quick, fast, and in a hurry. Haha. And then what do you have? Less pawns. Okay. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. I think this game was pretty instructive. In terms of finding out when I kind of lost the thread of the game, yeah, I'm going to miss stuff like this because I'm not going to push this pawn for the correct reason, right? I guess it's like there's an opportunity to push a center pawn. You should push a center pawn maybe and have two pawns in the center. So that's like an opening principle that I kind of missed maybe. e6, defending the pawn. But then here, it's like this move was already here. So what? And it's here. Well, here. Queen c6. Why is this bad? Check. Oh, wow. Here. Queen in. Pawn up. It's bad because all of their pieces are around my king, if we're wondering. And the reason, let's see, f5. So this doesn't make as much sense to me. So why can't you take here? So, hold on. e5, knight e4. What's the difference here? Queen c6. No. e6, sorry. Knight e4. Queen c6. This is like fundamentally way worse, and I'm not exactly sure how. Takes because now you don't want to take. e5, knight e4. If we go by the same logic, here, check. Okay, now I see it. Had to run through the line about this pawn being in the way to defend. Okay. Okay, so this pawn move is bad because it stops this square from eventually being protected. And it allows knight b4. Because now, okay. All right. So now if they come in, you can go here and you're defending this square. Got it. Okay, that took me a second. I had to run through some lines. Hopefully that's something I can remember in these kinds of positions, because remember, I'm trying to play the accelerated draggy. Right? What? Queen. I would probably do that pretty quick. Just harass the queen back and forth. That'd be wild. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was instructive. Hope we learned something. I hope I learned something today. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.